Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of TapCaf Transmissions. I am Corey, joined as always by Eckhart's Ladder. How are you doing tonight, Justin?
I am quite well. I'm enjoying life. Last Thursday in my house before the big move.
That's true.
Yeah,
How's things coming together?
they're coming together or coming down. Like upstairs we're getting some new furniture. So like upstairs in my living room, we've got no couch. So we're sitting on like a kid's like a modular couch that the kids play with.
Did you sell
Uh,
the other one?
yeah. And the TV's just on the floor. So yeah, it's great.
Living like absolute savages.
Yeah.
But I've started getting my office together. You're going to be taking yours apart. You may notice for the video listeners, video viewers, there's some poster tubes which
Ooh.
contain things from Justin from last Christmas. There's also the you'll see Thrawn right there.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's coming together.
Yeah, it's all
But
coming up, Corey.
have you got a layout plan for your office? I know that was something you were working on. But
Yeah, I think so. It kind of depends. Like my dream is I want to have, for one, like my current setup, my door is right here, which I don't mind, but I've got a thing where I don't like my back to a door. I don't like people coming in and like looking over my shoulder. I think it's from like having an office and like my old government jobs. I hated it. But so I want to have like either facing the wall that the door is on or facing the center of the room. And then I want like a table next to me where I can put my old consoles, maybe have a TV there too. Other than that, we'll see.
what's your square footage compared to where you are now? Because you're in like it looks like you
Mm,
have an office that's a decent size. In
it's not
person,
big.
that office is like he's basically up against the calyx right now. Like it's
Yeah, like if I yeah, like I think I'm maybe 9 feet or something from the wall to the back wall. It's not a big office at all. My current one is just look. I actually have the dimensions up here. I think it's like slightly bigger. It's not massive, but it's I'm thinking maybe this one's 7 feet by 8 feet or something.
Mhm.
Maybe larger than that. And this new one is 12 and a half by 10, I think.
I mean, that's not bad. Like the area
Yeah.
I'm in right now is a little bit bigger, but
Mhm.
you don't have to talk about who's got a cozier office. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like I know
Mine
you'd never do that to me. Talk about how cozy it's
no,
fine.
that'd be fucked up.
Yeah, it's kind of rude. But tonight's main topic, we've got the Bad Batch episode 9 of season 3, The Harbinger. Any other Star Wars news that has caught your fancy this week?
Um, I'm trying to think. I know that screeners for a bunch of the episodes have went out, but not the last one from what I understand, and not to us either. Of course, we're on the shit list still for some reason.
I got X-Men 97, but I haven't gotten
So
anything
did
for
I.
the
Yeah,
Bad
so I
Batch.
actually did too. Maybe they used a different company to do it. I don't know, but reception seems to be good, so I'm excited to see what's going on with the rest of the season. I don't think there's been a ton of Star Wars news. We got a new Essential Legends collection book covers, including I'm just looking now. We got Iron Fist, so that's Wraith Squadron book 2. We got Lando Calrissian, which is actually my favorite of the Essential Legends collections because it's just one of the old covers. Other than that, I think it's been pretty slow. Anything you can think of?
Nothing that's official. I mean, like this is more tied to what happens in the episode that we're going to be talking about, but
Yeah.
we did get word from Jennifer Corbett that the story of why Asajj Ventress isn't currently dead is going to be told in other media, which probably means Tales of the Jedi. But that's like more episode discussion than some new media. But I
Yeah.
did actually manage to update my address with the for physical mailing of book review
Ooh, I forgot
copies.
about doing that. Shit, I better do that.
Yeah. So I was sure that I was going to email them and be like, no, who the fuck are you? Get off this list. But they updated it, so it worked out.
You better send me that email so I can do it.
I just responded to one of the ones where they send you an audiobook, and I was like, hey, I look for the other stuff, but I don't know where to send this. And then
Yeah.
they just updated it for me.
How'd you put that
But,
stupid accent in the text?
uh,
Is that two tildes?
I switched my keyboard to UK.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty easy. Pretty easy. I think it's
Yeah.
just Windows S or Windows Shift or something. I do it all the time by accident when I'm going between US and Canadian multilingual standard. There's UK as a third option.
I only do one. I only do American English for me.
Do you import your keyboards to not have to deal with accidentally putting in a bunch of E's with accents?
Well, you can set that in Windows settings.
Yeah, but you can I don't think you can remove the thing entirely.
You can remove the Canadian
Oh,
multilingual. I've
well.
done it.
Oh, it's Windows plus space. I hit this this has to be the thing that I hit accidentally more than anything else. But
Like a lot of laptops will have it will have it so you can't change that, which is really annoying. I don't know. So I'm just reading some of the Bad Batch reviews that people have been putting up. So what they've done is they've reviewed from episode 10 to 14, so the next 4 episodes. I'm already
there's
annoyed
only
because the first
15, right?
what's that?
There's
Yeah,
only
there's
15 this
15. So
season.
everything but the finale. And I started off annoyed because the first person that I clicked on, they had me blocked on Twitter. No idea who they were. Um, but they said, now that I've seen the second half of the Bad Batch final season, save for the finale, I have to say this is the Star Wars as you've never seen it before. Somehow they did it again. Emotional, high stakes, heartbreaking, and heartwarming all at once. Prepare yourself, squad. Okay, listen. As somebody who gets early stuff sometimes, I always say be careful of people when they give these glowing early reviews.
Mhm.
I do think people get caught up in the excitement of having something early and feeling
Yeah.
special
Which is
and wanting
different
to
from
make
it being like, oh, they're intentionally lying about something. Like it's hard
yes.
to avoid the feeling like, oh, I'm part of this thing. This is exciting.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember for me what the really big one of those was. I remember there was one and we talked about it on the show where I like I was like, man, I don't trust a lot of people. Nothing against them, but I just don't trust their judgment anymore.
Was it me when I was saying I didn't really have that many problems with Jedi Survivor on the tech preview? Because I didn't.
I didn't either because we were on their computers.
Even I remember hearing a bunch of people talking about it afterwards that they'd gotten some lag. I wasn't getting it,
I got a little.
but
I
yeah,
got a
they had like
little, but
fucking supercomputers.
considering it was for one, we were on 490s, I think. Um, and also there was the caveat that, hey, this is a weird in between build, so things are
Yeah,
gonna be a little funky.
yeah.
So it's like, okay, you know, well, sorry, our fucking group chat, I gotta mute them. But yeah, it's like I kind of assumed that it would be fine, and then I'm not gonna lie, I was fairly sketched out by them not letting us use our own footage for that event because they provided the
Mhm.
footage, and that to me was a slightly questionable sign. And I think they wanted us to maybe, but there might have been some technical issues preventing it. But yeah, that game launched quite messy. I think the book that I was thinking of was maybe the Princess and the Scoundrel, where like people were like, "This is incredible." It's like Courtship of Princess Leia, but better, and I didn't like it.
I mean, there's definitely a contingent of people who really strongly
Oh
defend
yeah,
that
for
book.
sure.
So
Yeah,
I think it might just be more of their like it feels like it was the perfect book for a very specific subset of people that wasn't going to appeal as much to others. And I think that's gonna happen sometimes. But
yeah.
it's kind of sad. There's only 5 Bad Batch episodes left. That feels like
I know
very few, especially with 2 coming out on next Wednesday because it's a 2-parter next week.
So the other reviews, Jordan Mason, he gave a positive review as well. And Dr. Danielle, who's in her final Bad Batch era, apparently, also gave it a positive review, as well as the person who has me blocked. And those are the only 3 I've seen so far, but I'll keep an eye out. All in all, I don't doubt that it's going to be quite good. So
Yeah, so the Harbinger was this week's episode. Uh, Aptly titled because I think it is really setting up for what the end game for a lot of these characters might be. We of course have the return of Asajj Ventress. We have testing Omega for force sensitivity, and we have a little bit of the Bad Batch having to deal with the prospect of Omega not being with them someday.
Yeah,
But it was
Crosshair
also nice to see
was quite.
Crosshair.
Yeah, he was very protective, which I liked. Yeah, but let's just talk about the title for me. The Harbinger, I think it was referring to, I mean, obviously Ventress, but I think specifically her warning at the end,
Mhm.
where she's like, "You guys aren't as safe here as you think."
Yeah, and
So I think we're probably gonna get the Pabu attack next episode,
yeah,
maybe.
that would explain why it would be a two-parter, kind of
Hmm.
heating up with that. Uh, and that might also be why Fee is a bit more directly involved in some of the heists that come later. Because it is kind of weird to me still that we got so much in the trailer that
Hmm.
we're this deep into the season. There's a good chunk of footage that we haven't seen yet. I kind
Yeah,
of wish Ventress hadn't been in the trailer as well.
yeah.
Uh, but then
She's
we could have
definitely
really
done, I
progressed.
think, in this show anyway.
Yeah, what do you think about her, like this setting up for the possibility that Ventress is the next person to have a Star Wars animated series about them?
I actually do think it's possible. People are saying Tales of the Jedi, and I know you mentioned that too, and that makes sense. I guess it would fit into when she was being trained, probably, and then maybe jump forward a bit. Or I mean, who knows really? I liked her. Just I know you didn't ask this, but I thought they did a good job with the character, like especially having read Dark Disciple. It definitely did feel honest to like that version of the character. Um, and one thing we talked about is like when we read the novel is to what degree did Dark Disciples sort of keep in line with the original Clone Wars scripts? And it seemed pretty clear that it stayed very close based on like some of the stupid shit that made it into the book.
The very bad structure of that book.
Yeah, and given like how she acted in this, which does seem to be like a continuation of that version of Ventress, it definitely feels like you can sort of see the connective tissue. So I like that. And yeah, I mean, based on everything that we've read about Ventress, how they are going to explain her, and how there's more ahead for her. We even got there was an interview with Omega's actress that I saw from a smaller publication. They were talking about how she could be set up for a big place in the universe moving forward. So yeah, I think that there definitely is a potential for the Ventress Omega,
Mhm.
show. And to me, one of the big things is this show is just not wrapped up. Like it's just not. There's what, five? Is there 5 episodes left? And
Mhm.
they're not going to be able to wrap this up in a way that finishes everything.
Yeah.
They can transition it, I think, which is what they will do. And honestly, what Star Wars, the Clone Wars ended up doing, where different characters become focused, but it's still telling, the same overall story. So I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, Ventress could be one of the focal points moving forward.
Yeah, like the two things that I've seen most are people saying it's possibility for a Ventress show, because we do know there is another show coming. We've talked about it on the podcast a lot of what that might
Yeah.
be. Uh, like the two possibilities I've seen are Ventress and Rex and Cody, or Rex and Echo being followed as its own show. But I
Yeah.
really don't think that's going to be what happens. Like I would bet money against that, but I'd be willing to bet money on Ventress and Omega as a new buddy cop comedy situation going forward.
Yeah, like they've done enough with Rex, I think, especially where he's so prominent in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And will probably be in Ahsoka at some point as well. Um, yeah, I don't see that being the thing. The big rumor that like was going around was like a crime lord show. That's like I heard that from someone who I thought was pretty trustworthy. Um,
I mean, I could see that tying into what Ventress is doing, anyways, because
yeah.
she was being a bounty hunter and having that be a way to get in some sort of broader galactic angle plus the train, like Jedi ish angle, without making it be about directly we're killing the Empire in this again.
Yeah, the way that I heard it was, I actually try to find the message because maybe Ventress was message, but the way that like I had it described to me was Darth Maul would be featured in it, and it would feature Kira. Now, again, this was somebody who I know was working on some projects and like, but in a kind of minor capacity, so it could be complete bullshit. But
Mm.
I like the idea of a Ventress show better, I think, than more Darth Maul.
But I think the biggest thing they are setting up for in this episode is that really reinforcing that no matter what the Bad Batch tries, there's a limit to how safe they're able to keep her, and there's a limit to how much Omega is going to be able to do on her own. With like she's good at stuff, but she's not like we have the pop when the Emperor wants you, and when it's force related, you're going to start getting the Inquisitors coming into play as
Yeah.
they're trained up in the next little while. And
Ventress
Ventress
just
just
kicked
came
all their
in.
asses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's nothing Hunter, Crosshair, and Wrecker can do against anyone with the kind of force training that the Grand Inquisitor would have, even at this point, as a temple guard. Like, so if
Yeah.
people start coming after Omega, her being with Ventress is going to be a lot safer than her being with the rest of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, and they're probably going to be reminded of that next episode as well, because like Pabu has been this like literal oasis, and yeah, I think they're going to be. I think they'll probably be reminded of the power of the Empire. Unfortunately,
Yeah. Did you watch Korra?
no, I didn't. No, I watched the first one obviously and really liked it, but I just never got around to watching Korra.
Yeah, the fire ferret, one of the characters' pets. That's basically the new Appa, but
I was thinking of
smaller
Oppo,
and
just
less
Fire
useful.
Ferret, the name.
Yeah, but its name is Pabu, so I feel like the name came from
Oh no,
Korra.
wait, I
Some
was thinking of what's the name of the little monkey they have.
Momo.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Momo. Momo is kind of
Yeah, I
because
guess
Appa's like the
Pabu's more
big,
of a new Momo.
yeah, because Appa's the thing they fly on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
thing they fly. Wow, you
yeah.
better not let Avatar Twitter hear you talk like that.
I really like Avatar, but like Avatar to me feels a lot like Star Wars Rebels, like
Yeah.
which I love. And I am due to rewatch it because it's a very cozy, comfortable show. But I kind of want to wait till my kids are a bit older because like I don't want to watch it by myself again and then watch it again in 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Get the
but I
kids
liked
all
it. I
together.
actually do remember watching it when it first came out. I don't even know what year it was, but I remember seeing it on TV and like I wasn't following it, but like I knew, oh, Aang can
Mhm.
control all the elements, whereas like the bad guys are fire and most of the good guys are water and the air guys are all gone. So I kind of remember the basic details.
Well, speaking of people who are all evil and some of whom are all gone, we do have Ventress back as a Night Sister.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on her not being dead?
Yeah. Like I remember it's kind of hard because I don't remember. I assume I read the book at some point, but I might not have. I don't know how I would have read that scene without the knowledge that she returns.
Mhm.
I think you did a good job of explaining it where yeah, like I think we both agreed when we were discussing it that there's enough there that they can make it happen. You got Night Sister Planet, you got the color green, like you can bring a character back if you want.
Water of life.
Yeah. On
So
the other hand, if she stays dead, it's just like, okay, it's Night Sister energies returning to the planet, whatever.
yeah,
Um, so like when I initially read it, I thought like she was intended to be dead for good. And I do think that was probably the intention, but I also think it was purposefully written with enough leeway that if they want to bring her back, they can.
yeah. Like I'm okay with the. I don't love characters coming back from the death or from death. I'm more okay with it because I feel like she shouldn't have died the way she did. I think it's kind of a I didn't love that as an end for her character, so that probably makes me a bit more charitable towards it than I otherwise would be. Uh, but I feel like of any character coming back, the context surrounding Ventress and how she died, and then the end of that book makes it about as forgivable as it could probably be.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I really disagree with, the one criticism I really disagree with is, oh, this just shows just running roughshod over whatever the books because they just want to ignore it. Because I feel like that really ignores the context of what's going on and the fact that as a book, this was made from the Clone Wars episode scripts. So
Yeah.
it's like there's a lot more overlap in who's going to be involved in those decisions. So if it was another book, then I'd be more sympathetic to that because that does happen fairly often. Like we see the differences in Ahsoka's story from
Poe
Tales to
Dameron,
the
probably the
book.
biggest one.
Uh, we have But like with Ventress, we have so many references to Night Sister magic being a whole thing, and I have a kind of half formed thought on this after I read this excerpt from Unlimited Power, an RPG sourcebook from FFG on the Water of Life.
Okay.
Created using something the Night Sisters of Dathomir called Spirit Ichor, the so-called Water of Life is a glowing green liquid that can heal wounds and even return the mostly dead back to life. So clearly Ventress is an RPG character. So that makes it all perfectly fine too. But
Okay. Just shows she got
my
a good role, basically.
yeah, like have you like you've seen Princess Bride, so it's a Miracle
Hmm.
Max situation. Mostly dead, still partly alive. She got zapped. Who dies from being zapped?
No
Obi-Wan's
one.
bad at checking for pulses. So like it all just comes together. Ventress is fine. But the I feel like the Night Sisters are in a kind of interesting position in general with lore building, where they're going to be in everything in the next year, apparently,
Yeah.
where they're like the next big part of what Thrawn's doing. In the gaming side, Fallen Order is like the big game line right now, and Marin's such a big part of that. And now in the animated side of things, we have Ventress that she's going to be playing more of a role. And I feel like Star Wars is less comfortable with the idea of writing like look at this evil culture kind of thing, uh where like everything the Night Sisters have to do is dark, and like all the resurrection stuff we've seen from them before is like here's some zombies coming from an Evil Dead tree.
Hmm.
So I feel like there is a
Evil
bit of
Dead
an
tree.
attempt
Do
to
you remember what that tree does in Evil Dead?
no
Okay.
probably suck some people off. I don't know.
Pretty close. At least the remake. Is there a tree in the original? I don't remember.
I don't know. But I feel like they're with them not wanting to make everything about the Night Sisters
Tree
evil.
gets. Anyway, sorry.
They
Just thinking about that
can
tree.
they're going to play a bit more with life and death and have like whatever Thrawn's doing is obviously not super epic, but Marin and Ventress I don't think are supposed to be seen as evil characters. So I don't know.
No,
Again,
yeah,
half formed thought, but
no, that was good. Like Marin, she did like in Star Wars Legends. Even it was a bit more complex. Where like not all Dathomiri witches are bad. Some of them are very bad.
well, the witches were good. It was the Night Sisters were all evil, and now we don't have the witches at all. We just have the Night Sisters. So
Yeah, so that's like where the distinction did kind of break down. Um, yeah. What was I gonna say? No, I think you're right. I'm curious to see kind of how they handle. It's they have done a bit of a because like even in the Clone Wars, the witches are like just they've used zombies. They're not pretty. They're not really very chill.
yeah,
Um,
like they're very much shown where like Talzin is kind of, if anything, a rival to Palpatine for evil power
mhm.
in the dark side.
um,
And I feel like they're less interested in portraying this like local culture and their relationship with the Force as being this entirely evil thing.
One thing that like I was thinking when you were talking mostly about like replacing, um, replacing the book. I also do think there's a difference when someone who really loves the character, who has like a really good vision for the character, comes in and makes something, especially a character that was left dormant, like Asajj. If Asajj was left dormant, there hadn't been any plans for her. Someone comes in and writes like a really great book, that takes the
Yeah.
character in a really interesting direction, maybe reignites fan interest in the character, tells a completely new story. And then that's completely ignored. That would be
Yeah.
far worse than like someone's basically making a novel version of the Clone Wars, and maybe they're changing some details, or maybe not.
Yeah. But like this is also everything we're seeing with Ventress as a character in this is so much more based on Dark Disciple
Yeah.
and benefits from Dark Disciple, where like we're seeing the resurrection that might not make as much sense, or not resurrection, the redemption that might not make as much sense to someone who's only seen the Clone Wars and doesn't know kind of what's motivating Ventress right now. And like I don't know if if this is actually true, but like it looks like the texture is intended to have some of the lightning scars on it.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I was like trying to look at her old face.
Yeah. Like it looks like it's meant to be that because like all the other characters, you have some scars on the Bad Batch, but like Omega's face and the other characters' faces are relatively clean. But I don't know if she was just like rolling around in some dirt before she found them. But it looks like lightning. It looks like
Yeah,
it's
so it's like
supposed to be that, and we have the
yeah,
reference obviously to still have some lives left. Like this, I don't think anyone should have had the expectation, whatever your opinion on her being back, that she would walk out of her ship and give a big exposition speech to the Bad Batch about how I was dead, but I got better. Like, I don't
yeah,
think that
because
was ever.
nobody saw the clone. Like nobody saw like so many people have seen the Clone Wars. So few people have read Dark Disciple
Yeah,
because it stunk.
and that's why I feel like that's why I feel like Tales of the Jedi would be where that gets addressed rather than the next show
So
if it is
maybe
ever.
Tales of the. What if we got like a Dark Disciple miniseries? Would that be stupid or would that be cool?
Like as part of Tales.
No, like as its own little like stories of the Clone Wars.
Like specifically about Ventress or about like different
Yeah, like
disciples
no,
within.
like a Dark Disciple, like just like another, story arc.
Yeah, that could be good, but I don't know. I just don't feel like they're going to go back to the Clone Wars itself with that. Like I feel like anything Ventress gets is going to bring her forward from this point rather than like
Mm.
maybe one or two episodes exploring that kind of thing, like her death, maybe some of what she was doing in the Clone Wars. But we just have
Yeah,
so much of that already. Like so
I
much of her
know.
character before was the Clone Wars, and I feel like if they want to take her in this more like redeemed direction, going back to that well, you don't really get all that much from it because it's just going to be more of her doing weird little missions for Dooku that we know can't work unless it's just her assassinating some like local planetary leader, which I guess like that could be interesting of seeing one of her successful missions where she's not just losing a duel to Obi-Wan, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to like I guess my point is they need to convey to Clone Wars fans, oh yeah, she did die at some point.
yeah, it sounds like that's going to be the case, unless by content Corbett meant just like maybe there'll be a book about that someday. I don't care, but it
Yeah.
didn't seem to be what she meant by that. So,
Yeah.
uh, but I think that covers most of Ventress for now until she shows back up in something. I do agree with you. There's not going to be any more Ventress in this season
No.
unless she like shows up at the end
No, I
uh,
don't think so.
for some
I mean, they
reason.
even made it kind of I will say she could show up at the very end. But they even made it like pretty clear that the show's not going to explain. They're like, we're going to leave that for future
Yeah,
material.
yeah. I just mean like if she comes to like pick up Omega from school or something, or
Yeah.
like there's no way Bad Batch is going to explain a death that people who are only watching the shows don't really know happened.
Yeah, maybe the show will end with like her going in her shuttle or something.
Yeah.
Um, I really liked the lighting and the action in this episode.
Mhm.
I've already said it, I'm tired of the big monsters. There's another one.
Yeah.
I really like sea monsters though, so that was okay. Um,
So
but
you don't want monsters unless they're a little moist.
yeah, no, they got to be very moist.
Okay. That's fair, I guess, but
Um,
I'm kind of done with them in general. So
yeah, but I know I was gonna say though I preferred the scene where she was running up to get the flower. I just liked how like the lighting was, the sun was setting while it was all happening. There was the fight. It was pretty cool.
I did love the execution of that on Ventress's part. Like that is very much the let's play the who can be quiet the longest game with my nephews,
Hmm.
where run over there and grab a thing so I can fight your
Yeah.
dad brothers.
Oh yeah, I've done that before.
The quiet game or fight dad brothers.
I mean, I'm like, let's see which one of you kids can beat the other one up more. Daddy's
I
got
don't know
to
if you want to admit to that on a
no,
podcast.
because Imogen would definitely win. She's brutal.
Jeez.
She's only 3, but she's a scrapper.
No. Well, did Imogen ever manage to come back with a flower from having, or a leaf, a palm, whatever it was, petal
I
with
mean, she's
her
definitely picked up
dog?
grass and stuff before, so yeah.
Could Imogen ride Remy or Murphy?
Oh yeah, yeah. Murphy for sure. Remy's like her hips would probably go out, but Murphy for sure.
So where are you at with not Imogen, with Omega being force sensitive?
I mean, I thought it was pretty clear from season 1 she was. Like they've been hinting at it a bit. Someone's gonna go find one of my older reviews where I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think she is. But no, I can't remember if it was season 1 or season 2 where it was kind of being hinted at more and more.
Yeah.
And then obviously episode 1 of season 3 or episode 2, one of the first ones shown made it pretty clear that she's got, the elevated M count. So obviously she's got something going on. And it seems to be a thing where it was, scientifically induced, which is different. So curious to see where that goes. I don't know whether she'll actually train, but she's clearly got something going on.
Yeah. Like
She's also got like luck and, she's like nothing in this episode taken alone really shows her force sensitivity.
I think so. I got some pushback on this because of people saying that the test earlier on in season 3 is not necessarily showing force sensitivity, which is true, but we don't know. So it's showing fundamentally what Hemlock is testing for is that like seeing whether the samples will degrade with either midichlorians added or some of the thing that's going to show what happens if midichlorians are added.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that isn't itself necessarily a test for midichlorians that we know of. The reason that a sample might be able to stay stable could be because there are midichlorians still present. We don't know what the mechanism is, and we also don't know whether Hemlock knows what the mechanism is. And if he did, that might change what they're looking for. And maybe that's why there are so many bounties out for high M count individuals, not just force sensitives and Jedi who are going to oppose the regime. But I feel like this episode, taken on its own, the tests, even though Omega fails the first test, kind of passes the second with Batcher and doesn't really accomplish much in the third. I feel like using these specific tests was done on purpose to show the evidence we already have for why Omega would have an elevated M counter before sensitive. And I feel like Ventress saw it as well, where Ventress, if you think about Ventress, the first thing you think isn't she's going to talk about the connection between life and how some people have this enhanced empathy, like the life force, like other life will connect to you. That's not something we've ever seen from her before. And it's probably not the first test she'd go to.
Mm-hmm.
But that is something we've very much seen from Omega with how both humans and non-center animals, non-aliens, are drawn to her. And that's something that Batcher does the whole time. So I think that's why that is chosen specifically when explaining this to Omega.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. And one thing I'm also kind of wondering more about is like if she did gain force sensitivity, is it possible that rather than it being an actual test, it was just a roll of the dice? Like, like she just happened to be force sensitive, like not that the Kaminoans were doing testing on her, which I think is what we're meant to believe, but maybe it was just, a roll of the dice.
Well, Nala Se knew that something was going on in that direction, but I think I don't think it's going to be because of something that Nala Se induced. Like, I feel like that would be validating too much of what the Empire's doing, where I think Omega is supposed to be the antithesis of that, where it's just like, oh, we're going to exploit the Force and exploit this other life to make Palpatine live forever, versus Omega is empathetic and connects with life and all that. They obviously do find out something because Palpatine ends up having nice clones for him to live in, but not great ones because he still wants Rey.
Yeah, and his own son didn't work for him.
Yeah. Dathan wasn't force sensitive, so
no, he's just a loser. That's why I called him Dathan.
Well, he didn't call him Dathan. He called himself Dathan.
That's true. I didn't really love that book, but
he was alone, so he was.
I don't know. Was it the Shadows of the Sith that actually explained? Because I know there was some of it in the novelization, but I don't remember if.
I'm pretty sure that was from before the name, at least.
Okay.
You did
I
like
know the name
Shadows of the
came
Sith. What are you
before.
talking
I think the
about?
name might have even been in the movie, like in the credits or something. But
No, I mean the source for the name.
oh yeah,
It was
yeah.
definitely named before, but I mean like the source for the name I think was from before Shadow of the Sith, which
Mhm.
you did like. So don't even give me that.
I liked it. I didn't love it though. I think it
I
was
think
a
you
B.
both rated it pretty high.
Oh, did we? Okay.
I'll see if that's true, but because it was like that and Brotherhood that we read pretty close together, and then we both thought,
Brotherhood wasn't bad from what I remember. Also,
yeah, we both gave Shadow of the Sith an A.
okay. I guess I'm full
Or
of
no, we
shit.
gave it a B. Never mind. That's
Yeah,
still
it's
good.
yeah.
It's not bad.
No,
Yeah. All right. So if you're putting your money down now, are you thinking that Omega is going to be with whoever's left of the Bad Batch by the end of the season, or no?
I mean, I'm
Like,
trying to think of
is
like.
she leaving the season, staying with them afterwards, or not? She's obviously going to be with them until the end of the season.
I mean, I've been trying to think of like what the central message is that they're going to try to show. Um, and yeah, I do think it is going to be that we can't protect you, and sometimes you got to let the bird, fly the nest and join us as Ventress or whomever.
That is usually how that's set up. Is you got to let the birds leave the nest and join us on Ventress.
Yeah,
I don't know that if I had kids, that I'd leave them in Ventress's custody, but
I mean, maybe with hair it's a bit more likely, but it was kind of odd seeing Ventress like. I was like, man, was her jaw always like that? And yeah, it was.
yeah, she was very shallow, sallow cheekbones,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Surely.
that extends all the way back from Tartakovsky. So
Mhm. Well, yeah, and that's I guess my point. Like, it's weird that the shows are getting more and more realistic, but Ventress is just continuing to look super weird.
I don't think she looks
It's really just the
weird in
jaw
her
for me,
current
where it
iteration.
looks like the jaw is like the most Tartakovsky, like things just hanging on.
I guess it's not that pronounced in Bad Batch. It's more like a pointy chin in Bad Batch, and maybe really pointy cheekbones.
Hmm.
She is definitely more sunk in Clone Wars,
Yeah.
but somehow less pointy too. Gonna need to put some people researching that. I don't know.
And any of my Ventress phrenologists friends to show up, please.
I don't. I don't want to deal with that part of the fandom.
Get your measuring tools out.
Your calipers.
Calipers, yeah.
The fact that I was able to name that and you didn't now the moment
I just
Ilchin's going
forgot
to
to be
be
being so stupid for a
eating
minute.
with that.
Yeah. I'll bring that up later tonight.
Well, he's definitely watching. But yeah, anything else we want to talk about from the episode? How are you feeling about Crosshair integrating the Bad Batch?
Crosshair, I really like it. It's I like the moment when they're on the shuttle and she's like, "Well, I didn't give up on you, did I?" Um and
Didn't.
yeah. And he softened up pretty quickly, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that they're at least on the topic of protecting Omega. They all
Yeah.
seem to be on the same page again.
Yeah, he pulled his
Where
gat out instantly.
yeah, but like there's more of an implicit trust between the three of them that he's
Yeah.
going to do the right thing by Omega at least. Because
Yeah.
for the last few episodes, there's been so much of like, oh, do we trust Crosshair?
Mm.
And that gets a little bit tiresome when we know that he's not like as an audience that he's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Just because why would they write that?
Yeah.
So I'm glad to move past that a little bit.
No, he's been great. Yeah, I I think he's gonna die for sure. We'll see.
He's dead. I don't think he is. I think he's the least likely of the Bad Batch to die.
I mean, I'd be happy at this point to see any of them. I do like when the three got knocked out. She immediately went to Wrecker though first.
Yeah. Do you join the Crosshair and Asajj shipping with the disgusting ship name that's come for it?
No. And what's the ship name?
What do you think?
Asajj and Crosshair?
It's
Crossage?
ass hair.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Nasty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna leave it there for this week. We've got. Are you gonna be able to do?
Probably not.
Yes, next week. So
Probably not. We'll see. Maybe on Wednesday, but it'll be an iffy.
All right. Well, we'll figure something out. I will talk about it here. Maybe get in like Zach
Yeah.
and Elkin to fill in for you or something.
Mhm.
Got a double up for that. But we are going to be doing some streaming over on youtube.com/ECKSTOO, celebrating the final stream in this office for Eck.
It's been a long journey.
It's the only constant that's been there. My
know.
office has changed like 3 times. Charlie's office has changed multiple times, and who knows if that'll
Probably
happen
a
again.
few more.
But this one's been there forever, even when you weren't on camera. So it's a big deal. That'll be on youtube.com/ECKSTOO and twitch.tv/Corey Loses. We're probably going to play some shooty games.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to say to the nice folks out there?
Thanks for all the streams. I mean, it's also it's the last Tapcaf in the office too. So
yeah,
that's 170 episodes and many YouTube videos and not all the YouTube videos though. I will say I started in some. But it's been fun. So I'll try to do something next week. But if not, see you when we see you.
Bye everyone.
Bye.